Episode 290 of the TV Dudes, recorded July 8th, 2020. Gamey.
Tonight, these three podcasters are looking for hot takes and big money as they vie to be the last word in TV reviews, or at least the loudest. It's time to play the TV Dudes!
Come on down! It's a game show edition of TV Dudes inspired by our game show lover, Mr. Kyle Scott.
Da, 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 da.
We're going to talk Netflix's new Floor is Lava, variety of network game shows on Hulu, including Ultimate Tag, Holey Moley, Pressure Luck, and To Tell the Truth. And, because Randy's been on a binge, we're also talking the first two seasons of The Good Place, or The Good Fight.
That old business.
Over on CBS All-Access.
So many good shows, but this one's The Good Fight.
The Good Fight. Not The Good Wife, not The Good Place. The
Not
Good Fight.
Girls.
But before we get to that, I'm Randy.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Les.
And we are the TV Dudes. So we're going to jump right into old business this week. I have been on a binge this week, you guys. We have CBS All Access. We got it for the Star Trek shows, and they lured us in as I was canceling it. They're like, well, do you want to stay for a couple months for half price? And I'm like, half price? Sure, yeah, I can watch The Unicorn. I can catch up on some of your other stuff. And then I canceled it. And they're like, hey, you want to come back for one free month? And I'm like, what free month? Ooh, who turns down one free month? So I did. So I signed up. So we still got CBS All Access. And then it turns out in August they're going to put Lower Decks on, which we're going to keep it for. So they got us, guys. They hooked us. They strung me along for long enough that we're back in.
We're a CBS family now.
We're a CBS family now. But this is good because Les has been recommending The Good Fight to me for a long time. And finally, I don't know what it was, this finally put me in the mood to watch it. But this week, I finally started binging it, and now I'm like through seasons 1 and 2. It is so good.
For me, it hits a particular balance. And Good Fight's gotten more strident by centering Christine Baranski's character of Diane Lockhart. She's always been the ideologue that in Good Wife takes cases that will lose the firm money because she believes in them stridently. And so centering her in it at a new law firm really let them kind of go even more crazy ass places. And they've always had a weird ass wacky sense of humor. But I was interested to hear what you would. I came to Good Fight after like the 7 million episodes of Good Wife, which went from being kind of, I don't know, it didn't change shows, but it definitely went. It grew into itself over 7 years, like any show's going to do. I mean, by the 7th season, it's not the same show. And Good Fight is not the same. When you jump back to the pilot episode of Good Wife, it's a way different show. It's like, this is not the same movie.
Well,
what did you like about Good Fight?
So I like this enough that I'm definitely going to watch Good Wife now. And that's me committing to a show that long is not the usual thing. Like I'm
not a huge legal procedural nerd either.
And I'm not. I've watched my share of legal shows, which one of the reasons I've seen plenty of legal shows. The Good Fight has that same sweet spot that The West Wing did for me. It's this fiction about, hey, smart people can change the world for the better, and they are going to. Which in 2020,
smart people won some shit. In
2020, I need that, and it's not like. It doesn't always portray like the good guys always win. Like there's definitely some losses. There's definitely some, just like West Wing did, where there's like, the good guys lose regularly, but they're always like up for the next fight. They're always up for trying to change things. And sometimes they win these fights, and sometimes they get to be the smart guys in the room. They get to trick the evil lawyers or whatever else. And I think that is the heart of what I like about it. But I also think that what really got me is that the cast is spectacular and the writing is really sharp. Like, this is Robert and Michelle King, who did Evil, which I fell in love with.
So, yeah, I was going to ask, all their shows have the same tone. Evil was the newest thing I'd ever come to, but it's the first thing by them you'd seen, right?
Yes, and this feels like Evil, even though Evil is about a team of people looking into demonic possession, and this is about lawyers in Chicago. This feels like if you were to have one of the characters from Evil walk into here and they're like, yeah, we need to sue a demon, I would buy it in a heartbeat. Like, it would fit this show.
You know what? This feels like serendipity because you guys are talking about Evil now. This is unscripted, but that's going to come up later in the show. Just a little teaser. Yeah.
So it's the pitch for those. I think Les has mentioned this before. Basically, it starts off with this Diane Lockhart, who is this big power mover at her old firm. She's retiring. Trump gets elected. She's like, "Fuck this noise. I'm out. I'm going to go live in Italy," and her goddaughter Maya is just graduating law school and has been wanting to be a lawyer for her whole time, and she's coming over to work to work at her firm, and it turns out that Maya's dad and mom have been running a giant Madoff-esque Ponzi scheme. Or maybe they haven't. Maybe their uncle set them all up for it. But basically, her name is shit. Diane is the one who brought her law firm into this financial scheme, is also screwed, and she basically loses all her money, cannot go to, loses her money by Chicago rich lawyers' terms, but not actually.
She doesn't have her parachute goes away.
Yeah, her parachute goes away.
She goes from hey, you've been a named partner of a law firm for decades, and now you get to walk away fabulously wealthy, to hey, so it turns out you're going to be a lawyer for a little bit longer.
And so she goes to this primarily African-American firm run by Delroy Lindo, Adrian Bozeman? Yeah, Adrian Bozeman.
Yes.
And basically becomes one of their new lawyers and quickly becomes partner through a variety of machinations. And she brings Maya along with her. So the arc of this season is all about whether or not the Rendell family was involved in this and whether Maya knew about it somehow. And so there's this investigations into all that, what Diane's going to do, and what it means to be in this sort of law firm that is big on anti-cop brutality lawsuits.
They have made their name and their fortune basically ripping City of Chicago or Chicago PD a new ass.
Yeah, and it's so good. And in the course of this, they do episode. I mean, it has an arc, which is one of the things I like, but it also has episodic stuff. There is definitely a case of the week kind of thing, and they bring in characters who I don't know, but I would text Les about them, oh my god, I love this. There's this redhead lawyer they bring in to defend the firm against charges.
Elspeth Tassioni, maybe my favorite character in all of television at this point.
She is so much. She comes off like this scatterbrain, doesn't know what she's doing, but she's actually just she's a shark. She's so good at this, and she's a blast every time she's on screen.
Yes.
And the judges, they get these big names for the judges. They get these actors oh, it's that guy. The episode I just saw was B.B. Newworth as the judge.
Dennis O'Hare turns up as one of the judges. Just a shitload of judges. You said, is it Richard Jenney?
No, not Richard Jenney.
No, you texted me somebody that had turned up as one.
But there's all
John
kinds of people.
Larroquette's on the new season. I mean,
yeah.
If you've made it when you make it to season 3, John Larroquette's on it.
And one of the things I really loved about season 1 was that, or season 2 rather, after they get through the big Rendell arc, the arc of season 2 is very heavily Trump. They are getting involved in the Democratic National Convention, or the Democrats are looking for someone to maybe look into the impeachment case against Trump, and they're running these firms, and Margot Martindale represents the Democratic Party. It is
she turns up now and again. A lot of these people come back. It's great. Every time the Democrats want to do anything with them, which never really happens, but Margot Martindale's always the point.
It's a parade of great guest stars, and I haven't even mentioned Cush Jumbo, the best actress name ever.
Oh, yeah, and she's fantastic. Luca Quinn is the shit. Yeah, Cush Jumbo. She's a British actress. She plays Luca Quinn. She has the greatest name ever, as well as being a fucking power. She's just awesome on screen.
And Marissa, who is their...
she's in Good Wife as well.
Who is Diane's assistant, who also starts becoming an investigator, and she's... I love all of these characters. Characters
Sarah
are so good.
Steele, who plays Marissa Gold, Marissa starts in Good Wife as well, in season 1 or 2. Yes, because she is Alan Cumming's daughter. She's Eli Gold's daughter, and Alan Cumming is the political shark campaign manager to Mr. Big's Chris Noth's. I don't know, the bad husband to the good wife.
Thank you for saying Mr. Big, because that was the first time I connected who you were talking about.
Yep.
This is
the original Law and Order dude.
This is such a good show, and it's really entertaining. It goes by really fast. They build a good arc. Sue, not Sue, that's from Glee. Jane Lynch shows up as an FBI agent.
That's right.
And oh man, there's so many great guest turns. Like you could watch.
Mr. Stevens is like the world's shittiest lawyer.
Yes, as like the mall attorney. Yes.
Oh man, so bad. Like they're like it's so terrible. Gary Cole's in it. It's great. It's just person after person.
This is just it's what you get when you take really good writers, really good showrunners, and an amazing cast and good guest stars, and throw them together at a story that honestly, I'm not a legal drama guy. I'm surprised I'm as in love with this, but it's
so
really well done TV.
This finally took off. One of the times that I think nobody was here and we had a guest star. Shit, who was it we roped in on that episode? And he and I talked about Good Wife the entire time because it was like, you watch that too? Cool, let's do this. Yeah,
that's my shit.
Yeah, I love this show. I can't wait for you to get into Good Wife. Only because for as many as everybody that they kept is amazing. Zach Grenier as David Lee. Like, there's so many great characters, and they add in new characters. I love Jay, their new. Or he's not. He's new to me because he's only on Good Fight. But their investigator, along with Marissa. And Marissa's an assistant. She's Diane's assistant through most of Good Wife. She's not an investigator. Their investigator in Good Wife is another badass character, played by Archie Punjabi, who is fucking fantastic. It's Kalinda's show. I can't wait for you to get into Good Wife.
I'm definitely gonna. I'm gonna burn through the rest of Good Fight. This was game show week, and so it was pretty easy giving my game homework, and so I had some time. So it fell to me to start binging another show, and I'm completely in love with it. All right, well, this is a good reminder for people. If you want to support us, you can go over to patreon.com/tvdudes. Throw us $1 an episode, and in exchange for that, we get to keep our streaming services up and running. There's another one coming, the Peacock, which we were going to avoid, but at least we're going to try it out for a month. And we got HBO Max, we got Hulu, we got Netflix, a lot of streaming services. Plus we got hosting costs, all kind of stuff. So it helps us out. In exchange, you guys get bonus episodes every week. Right now, we're going through the Fast and Furious franchise. This week, we caught up with Fast and Furious 6, so we're getting in there, and that was Les's first go through it. I'm so excited to talk about it with him, guys. I'm almost more excited than I am about the game shows, which I'm pretty excited about. So it's a good night. And we have a new showrunner, which is the level you can get if you pay $20. This is my buddy Mandy Kokot, who has charged us to watch some anime. So if you get in the showrunner level, you can put 2 shows on our radar. And Mandy is running some kind of Kyle Scott-esque power ranking math in her head about what 2 shows out of the 100 she wants to force me to watch that she's going to put us through. And she has decided our first show is going to be Kill la Kill over on Netflix. So that is on the docket coming soon. Possibly next week, possibly the week after. We'll see. But if there are shows you feel like we're missing and we should watch, you can get in that showrunner action, and you can say, hey guys, this is your job now. All right, let's turn this over to Quizmaster Kyle.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I know, you're getting to put on a different hat with a bunch of question marks on it tonight. Guys, what have you let me do? Taking over the reins of this? This is a little bit more than I can handle, but I think I'm going to handle it because it's summer. And what do you do in the summer besides syndicate every other TV show? You start running game shows, baby! You get The Rock, you say, hey, you doing any movies this summer? Come and host the Titan Games so the TV dudes cannot talk about it. You know, you get other celebrities who maybe star in some sitcoms on your network, and you get them to host game shows from maybe a decade or two ago. Or maybe you just get other like great, talented celebrities and or directors of Charlie's Angels to host your game show. Tonight, we're going to be covering all of that, all right? Because we are going through all of that TV that's playing at your mom's house whenever you go home for 4th of July weekend. All the stuff that when you go to watch, like what's playing right now, boom, it's game shows. It's summertime. That's when all this stuff comes out. But before that, we have a little thing we like to do over here, the Power Rankings.
Power Rankings.
Thank you. Soundbite. No, each week we scour the internet. We look at IMDb,
Crazy shit.
Metacritic, Rotten Tomato. We go through all of them. We get this 400-point score, and we rank all of the TV shows we talk about based on that. And what we like to do when we start off the show is go over the shows we talked about last week. And guys, we got a new top 10.
What?
Somebody broke in to the top 10, and it's kind of funny who it was. We'll get to that in a second. But first...
Yes, that amuses me. I am seeing that now.
Yeah. In number 78 is hashtag BlackAF. Over there, that's on Netflix, right?
Yes.
And this was described as kind of the Curb Your Enthusiasm to Seinfeld is to Blackish over on ABC.
Yes.
Yep.
With a 248, that's kind of low on our list, actually. The one good thing about all of the shows that we talked about last week is we've had this kind of adjustment issue for people who've been playing along. And I've, gotten rid of all the adjustments. If you're ranked 0 on a site, it's 0 on the list. But none of our shows tonight were 0. Everybody's gotten ranked on all of the sites we check. So
you know what, though? It does look like maybe Rotten Tomatoes did not care for Black AF.
I was kind of surprised by that, actually. As you go through and tally up the numbers, you can kind of get a sense for where things are sitting. But yeah, Black AF seemed pretty underrated. But I feel like a lot of stuff on this list, which hopefully we're going to go through in a little more detail as we get to number 100 on the list. I think we're like less than 10 now, 10 shows away. But yeah, no, this often what we think of the show is not reflected in the numbers, but that's internet math. The internet decides how good or bad a show is. We have nothing to do with that. Number 64 with a 283, Perry Mason over on HBO.
I mean, it's summer. You want to kick your feet back. You want to put your feet up, kick back, chill out. A little lighthearted Perry Mason.
Yeah, this one, I'm surprised that one wasn't so well liked.
Unstitch the baby's eyes, honey. It's Perry Mason time.
I have a feeling they didn't get a lot of people in with that one. I think the marketing might have turned some people away. Also, theme song would have got them 10 more points. I know.
Right.
10 more points on there. But then, now we're going to get into the ties. Tie for 35, I May Destroy You. It's tied with a Future Man with a 322. Actually, this is kind of high on the list. I mean, you got to think we're getting to 100 shows now. This is encroaching on top 25.
We gotta watch this now, Randy. Kyle has accidentally lucked us into a good show here.
No, I need to know how much British it is. I still need percentage British.
Yes, percentage of British. I will try to give it a look, and I'll give it a butcher's and let you know how British it is.
This is that show, like, you get the pilot sent to you, or you're just watching, like, the screeners, it's pilot season or whatever, and you're, like, going through the slog, and then you hit one where you're like, oh, shit, I've never heard of this. I've never seen any of these actors before, and it's like, the story alone, I gotta know what happens in the next episode. Like, and, man, they do so much good stuff, not only with the story, but, like, the characters really dig in. Like, each character makes you feel like, especially the main character, but like you're invested and you feel bad when they fuck up and you like want to get in. It's good. HBO knows what they're doing. Number 28, tied with, I said it earlier, Evil over on CBS.
Dum, dum, dum.
Look, and you guys were just talking about it. Doom Patrol on HBO Max, no longer the DC app. Now the HBO Max app.
Yeah, you know what? That makes sense to me. Doom Patrol, Evil, both sort of like weird shows that a strange cross-section of all my friends watch. for various
Yes,
reasons.
like darker than is really funny, but funnier than you would expect from a dark show. Like both of these fall into like a Frighteners kind of place.
Also, I gotta say, I'm glad that Doom Patrol's on HBO Max and a lot more people are getting exposed to it because it's so good.
It's so good. Everybody can go check out our interview with Dorothy Spinner herself, Abigail Shapiro.
That was a pretty good get. I was kind of impressed to see that one.
Yeah, I was happy to hear from them. It was great.
Yeah, often I turn stuff on that we watch for the show, and my wife is just like, "Oh, are you watching this for the podcast?" Doom Patrol was one where I thought she might have been kind of getting into it. Yeah, every now and then one seeps in. But the big question is, could Doom Patrol cross over with Good Fight?
I could see them running into legal trouble.
It could cross over with Umbrella Academy.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, actually that would be a good crossover.
Absolutely. You know the chief and whatever their chief is named have met.
That's a movie where it's just
There's
like
a
all the
council of
chiefs
wells for you.
of like the dysfunctional team up groups,
Right.
Like the people who have fucked over groups of people and now they're in a group together.
The
I
Council
fucked
of
over 8
Xaviers. It's just Xavier.
Yeah.
Then why are they the X-Men?
Actually, I have no good segue into the next one. Speaking of just dark watch during the daytime, number 23, breaking that top 25, is I'll Be Gone in the Dark over on HBO, tied with Insecure, also on HBO.
Those are two very different shows.
Yeah. This was one, as I was looking at the responses, I was like, I don't see anybody who would like want to dislike this show, but that doesn't necessarily mean they want to watch more of it.
It is really great television, and I straight up had a week where I was like, I can't do this tonight.
But you know what does feel good? What feels like top 5 in the power rankings good is The Void, the giant like cinematic masterpiece VFX Marvel that is The Mandalorian over on Disney Plus, which that's not the show that's ranked
No, that was last year.
List. Yeah.
Yep.
This is The Mandalorian Disney Gallery. This is just them talking about
the show
The
about the
Mandalorian.
show.
This is almost Rick and Morty good. And everybody knows the internet loves Rick and Morty.
So I would like to run down this top 10 really quickly because I think it's funny. I don't think any of these shows would make my personal top. Well, maybe one would make my personal like top. But so the top 10, according to the internet, the best shows on TV: The Last Dance on Netflix and ESPN, Rick and Morty, The Mandalorian Disney Gallery, Better Call Saul, BoJack Horseman, Young Justice, What We Do in the Shadows, Brockmire, Mr. In Between, and Last Week Tonight. You cannot draw a straight line between those shows.
Good Place is so close. They almost cracked that top 10.
You know when you play Cards Against Humanity and you play with like a random player? We call him Rando Calrissian. This is like a rando TV dude's top 10. Like
so weird.
This guy who never shows up on Wednesdays, but skews our fucking rankings. Yeah.
Yeah, and to be clear, I don't think any of these are bad shows.
No.
None of them are like, oh, this should never be in the top 10, but I'm like, that none of them would make my personal top 10, I don't think.
I think it's funny that there's no Bulls games in the top 10 but there is the, documentary about Jordan.
that's what
I'm
happens
sorry.
when
There's no
sports.
Mandalorian show that there is a show about Mandalorian.
No, it's it is something of wonder. But yeah, I feel like each of those shows have cult followings. That's kind of the only real thread, is that they all have big Reddit pages. So guys, this is kind of our game that we play week to week, the power rankings. But, something else that I'm constantly talking about is like, I
HGTV?
love dipping in, to HGTV, to all
British
of the
car
like
shows.
mediocre, like normal person TV. We're all about that critic TV, that like elite, what the cool kids are talking about. But I like that stuff my grandma's watching. All right, I like that stuff that normally that
a
you
wheel
get
watcher.
on antenna. Yeah. And as discussed earlier, that's game shows. All right. I've tried to bring great game shows into our podcast. Now we are in the game show episode, which is really, for me, the game show week, because all week long I've gotten to like text with you guys as we've gone through all of these beautiful shows that we're going to talk about this week.
Beautiful's a word.
I can already see us having to revisit this because I've already thought of 2 game shows that I would be fine revisiting or seeing if they still are any fun. That we don't have on this list.
I have a question for you guys, because I don't think none of these are post-COVID. They're all pre-COVID, and they all have studio audiences and all that kind of thing. But like we all know, COVID kind of crashed sports. It's probably going to crash game shows. But like, what is the what makes a game show versus, say, like a competitive show versus a sports show? Like, is Ultimate Tag a sport technically?
Ooh, 2 words for you.
Yeah.
Professional wrestling.
So yeah, I think
the difference.
I wanted to bring this up. I think wrestling is its own thing, like a little bit separate from all of it, because like these aren't sport, and I feel like the difference in sport is exemplified by Ultimate Tag and the YouTube link of whatever the fuck that was called. We'll discuss.
Oh yeah, we'll
later.
definitely talk about that.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that.
But there's game shows where they put people through, I guess, like stupid human trick tests of skill. Through goofy competitions or dumb tricks or trivia or whatever, and as opposed to competition shows where you come with a skill like singing or cooking or
Legos,
and then you compete in or craft and you compete in your skill.
Right? Yeah. I think you're right. Game shows are that. I think one of the things that separates game shows and sports is a direct cash prize. Like, if you're being paid at the end of it, if you're being paid to do a job, that's a sport. But if you're getting paid depending on whether or not you win, that's probably a game show or a competitive show. But you're right.
I'll even simplify it even more. I think the difference is a game show, the contestant looks like they could have come off the street. In terms of a competitive show, that person has gotten at least some practice.
So it's interesting because The Floor is Lava and Ultimate Tag, and Holey Moley, like all these shows, technically those are competitive shows because those all have people who have some kind of physical skill. They're not professional taggers or whatever. Those are the bad guys.
I kind of felt like they were just good enough to be, the insurance would clear them to do the show. Are they better than that? Is this like an American Ninja thing where they're like, tried to come ready?
Now that would be a competition show, American Ninja. Although
Ultimate Tag
kind of skews the line.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It's not like they're not like chefs. It's like the difference between, say, like Nailed It and Top Chef. Like, yes, those are both cooking shows, but one of them is more of a game show and one of them is more of a competitive reality show.
Yeah,
I think you're right. I think skill is definitely the defining thing. If this is a professional skill for you, that makes it a competitive show because the people on Floor is Lava are very physically fit and have sort of a certain set of skills, but they're not training to compete on the Floor is Lava.
In the spirit of an Our Taco Sandwiches kind of question, is the jousting is the fighting at a Ren Fair wrestling?
Technically, if it's like that movie Snatch,
or is
Brad
wrestling
Pitt type stuff,
like if you made an athletic competition out of a furry convention?
Well, wrestling is a combination of skits and sport, but the sport has a preordained conclusion. So yeah, wrestling is its own unique thing.
It's its own unique thing because like the contestants on game shows, they don't show up with like pre-made characters and shit that wrestling does, like with these whole plot lines. Like wrestling's more like action improv.
Well, actually, one of our shows tonight, they show up with some characters.
Yeah, they do.
Yes, they do.
Well, our first show, I feel like, is definitely the people off the street, even though you have to be kind of physically fit to do this, and that's The Floor is Lava over on Netflix.
Side note, I just realized I've probably I bet we get forced to watch some wrestling now, and that's my fault.
What have you done? What have you done, Les?
My brother has actually already threatened to become a showrunner, because apparently the WWE Network has a like history of wrestling documentary series where it's just like crazy story after crazy story of like guys making no money, traveling city to city, cutting their face open with razor blades, putting their own feces in their armpits, and then like headlocking dudes.
So I don't watch any of that, but to be clear, showrunners cannot require us to add a streaming network. It has to be on one of like the 8 that we have.
I feel like I know a lot about wrestling.
Funny enough, WWE actually has like one of the most choice intros. It's a month free to try it out.
So apparently there's a Welsh wrestler who her deal is just that she's Carol Danvers. She's just Captain Marvel. Like she's wearing a Hollistar and shit, all of it.
Well, so The Floor is Lava over on Netflix, this is just like the Community episode implied. They essentially play the game where you crawl across furniture, except in this, they have like literal water underneath you that they superimpose with some stage lights and a little bit of CG to make it look like whenever a contestant falls off a piece of furniture playing this game, they fall into literal lava to never be seen again.
So the single best thing they do, and this is easily one of my favorite things in the shit we watched this week, easily my favorite thing they do on this show is not show the people get back out of the lava at all. Like when they go in, their teammate is just gone. And like, I don't know what the hell that lava, it's clearly not lava, like it's some kind of soupy detergent looking liquid, but apparently it's slick as balls.
I think the water could be blue, and that's all the lights overhead.
I think it might be. Watching people eat it because that shit is slick, though, it's like watching people fall into Jell-O. It's great.
Yeah, even some of the people, they get so dramatic with their exits where they're just like, no!
Yep, it's great. Everybody really leans into it. As far as I can tell, I mean, I've only seen a few of the episodes of this. I don't think I've seen any team get all 3 across.
It happens.
Yeah, they got a few of those. Well, they go through, I think there's 8 episodes.
There's level 1 and level 2.
Yeah, so they go level 1, level 2. Level 2 is definitely a little harder, but the people they bring in tend to have more of a sports background or a little more athletic. But watching this...
A lot of teachers eat it, man. Just land on their face.
My wife pointed out, like, it's not necessarily being athletic or being tall or any of these things you think would help you. Mm-hmm. If you look at the teams who get 3 across... it's all teamwork. Like, all of these obstacles are really difficult for a single person to do. Like the canoe.
Somebody needs to knock a thing over or pull a rope down or, yeah.
Yeah, but if you get 2 people, like this canoe, it's kind of like monkey bars unless you lower it. And then it's like this really unstable surface you have to walk across. But if somebody holds it still for you, you can walk across easy. Or if it's monkey bar, somebody can literally just push you across to the other side. And you'll see these frat boys get on there, and they're just like, I'm going to get across, bro. And like one guy tries to do it, and nobody helps anybody.
So that's the thing I liked about this. It's a combination of, like, there is an athletic aspect to this. I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, me and the other rogues together are never doing this sort of competition. Like, that's just not happening. You do have to have some athletic skill to make it across this thing. But it combines sort of the puzzle aspect of an escape room. Like, you have to figure out, like, there's always a couple things you got to do that makes things easier for you. And instead of unlocking a clue that you use to further figure out the puzzle of the escape room, it unlocks a physical challenge that makes the physical challenge a little bit easier to achieve.
Yeah.
And the timer is built in because the stairs go away and the final jump gets harder. Like, it's interesting. Also, the thing that makes this really sing is they got really good competitors. Like, their teams are all a lot of fun. Like, I thought I was in love in that episode with the stewardesses who kept making wildly inappropriate threesome jokes the whole time. I was watching that with my kid, and wow, were they inappropriate. And I was dying. And then the third team that goes after them is the 3 African-American guys, and I loved them even more. And so, like, there were some great teams. They had fun. They all play into it. They're clearly told by the people, like, hey, pretend this is lava. Like, have fun with it. Like, really play into this. Don't just, like, don't be cynical about it. Like, have fun with it. And I think that's part of what makes it work. And then the host, who is, like, he does just the right amount of, like, puns and referencing the guys, like, whatever their background is and making jokes related to that. And the cameraman and the way it's shot, They love their shots of when somebody goes in the lava. You will get it from 5 different angles in slow-mo. You will see the hurt. If someone bangs their face on a canoe, you are going to see that from different angles several times.
So, COVID. You mentioned the pre-COVID game shows, post-COVID. Lisa and I were discussing this the other day. Could this be a show that could be filmed basically the same way now? I mean, could those be mounted cameras run remotely? The contestants are from the same bubble, so maybe, or you could test all 3 of them, and your host is never actually in the room with them. So you could have it all Ryan Reynolds style. That
would be really funny if, like, the prize is that you get to be in the same room with the host as long as you wear a mask.
Yeah,
but everybody else, you got to be safe. You could just talk to him webcam.
I had the same thought, Les. I was like, you know what? You could make this work post-COVID.
And I will say, the host of this is the guy who went on to host the American version of Top Gear, which you guys know, Top Gear, that's my jam. Like, my first time ever coming on TV Dudes as a lonely guest star years and years ago, you went round robin and were like, what's your favorite show? And I said, Top Gear. And you guys said, what the hell is that? But no, the American version of Top Gear, I really never gave a shot. But then watching this, I was like, actually, in terms of like American hosts, like, he's not bad. He's pretty good. Yeah, we got a decent one here. But all in all, I was really impressed with this. I went through these pretty quick, and in terms of like the first game show I watched, kind of going into this game show binge, I was like, all right, I think these guys are going to get something out of that. It's a little Legends of the Hidden Temple-ish.
Honestly, that was my other thought. How did Nickelodeon not do this already in the 90s?
Yeah, this is it's all downhill from here. This was the best show. I can't believe I haven't watched families just like jump face first into foam boulders and land on their cheek and like.
Well, get ready because I don't know when it's coming out, but Disney is in production with a Star Wars version of like Legends of the Hidden Temple for kids.
I think I heard about that.
It's like a Jedi Academy type thing. So that's definitely coming the way. But guys, let's get to this tag thing because another show, a Fox show. Gosh,
hosted
Fox.
by the Watts brothers, JJ and the other 2.
We ain't doing sports now, so let's get into sports with quotation marks. Ultimate Tag over on Fox, which we watch on Hulu, of course. But essentially is, oh my gosh, where do I even start? It's well, actually, let's start with the professional version of this, which I learned about years ago.
World Chase Tag, yeah.
It's essentially like tag chase, but what it is it's a small arena, probably half the size of a tennis court or a basketball court, and it's filled with parkour obstacles. We have
rather dangerous, what look like tall picnic table bars, where I was like, somebody's going to get fucked up running into one of these.
Definitely stuff you could maim yourself with, poke yourself with, fall on, platforms for jumping. But you get the right athlete out there. Talking about a parkour athlete, kind of attributing to like a skateboarder or something like that. And they can do some really cool stuff on here.
The frenetic, desperate chase of it. They are really trying in World Chase Tag. I can't stress this enough.
Well,
they are fucking going for each other.
It is 2 parts. It is 1 part endurance, all right? Because anybody who's ever been in like a real fight before knows that like your adrenaline is gone in the first 20 seconds. And then you are just like exhausted like you've never been before because if you get chasing somebody and you gas out right away, there's nothing in it. So you have to have that endurance to actually do stuff. But then also you have to be able to do tricks. You know, you can't just run away from somebody. You have to be able to duck under an obstacle in a way that's going to fling your body a couple feet away from the person. Because
and not rack yourself on the next obstacle over or take your shoulder off or dislocate an arm. Or, I don't know how these people do
Well, in Chase Tag, they have refs on the sidelines. You touch a person, boom, you're out. It's like when you're kids. Like you get tagged,
it happens quick.
You're out.
Like
20 seconds.
No bullshit.
So they do regulation matches. They're 20 seconds long. These 2 people run. It sounds ridiculous.
Who fucking regulates it? Regulated by who?
By the tag people. Chase tag referees,
Tag
Les.
commission.
This is a serious sport, man.
Oh my God.
No, this is on YouTube. If you get a chance to check it out, it is cool. We're not going to put them in the power rankings or anything, but like the Chase Tag League is
I'd
an
watch more World
interesting
Chase Tag.
kind of
Fuck
like
yeah.
parkour type sport. All right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what
we'll
we're
be
talking
bringing
about.
Chase Tag up when we talk about marbles in terms of like replacement sport.
Oh yeah. Unfortunately, that's not what we're talking about tonight.
No, it is not.
No, the way that Ultimate Tag over on Fox, hosted by J.J. Watt and his two brothers, who are apparently also in the NFL, the way that this show works is essentially you get one of those cool parkour guys from like the tag championship, and then you give them a professional wrestler alter ego. All right, my favorite was the Barracuda. All right. Who was doing like the crab walk from Poltergeist, like every chance she could. And there was another guy who was just called
Geek?
the Nerd. Or yeah, the Geek.
Geek.
Which
Oh my
killed me.
God.
They should have called him the nerd because they were dressed him up like a nerd because geeks are carnival sideshows, and I was waiting for this to get weird.
So
but it didn't.
here's what I would say. Ultimate Tag, I had hope for this. I was thinking it might be fun. But Ultimate Tag with its like professional taggers and their bullshit stories, their blaze
like
and
fucking-
fire.
yeah.
It's like American Gladiators if it sucked.
If American Gladiators jazz ran everything.
Without the Nerf guns.
Yeah, it killed me. Like earlier when I mentioned the actual desperation and like frenetic pace and the real chase of it in World Chase Tag, none of that is present for this. It is parkour guys doing douchebag backflips while I don't know, somebody like some normal suburban schmo runs like Quarry.
The same people from The Floor is Lava who didn't get into that show jumped in line for this show.
And here's the
And
thing.
then-
JJ Watt is a terrible host.
It really is. And I like JJ Watts.
I do
As a
too.
person, he seems like a decent guy. He was on SNL and he seemed like he was all right. He does not have the charisma to do this. We'll talk about it on Press Your Luck as well, how hosts make or break a thing, and on Holey Moley. But on Ultimate Tag, Watt is a fucking vacuum of a space where the hosts ought to be.
So they bring in people off the street to run a tag arena, much like we were discussing earlier, except like 2-3 times the size of it. This is like American Gladiators type arena, and all of the same obstacles that can maim or like hurt a person. Like as you can probably tell, we were not the biggest fans of this, so I only gave this one episode. But in the episode I saw, like 2 or 3 of the contestants, you could see them getting hurt trying to run these obstacles because they're not training, they haven't practiced on this material. Like they're just out there in some type of like protection vest. Like doesn't even look like it protects them. It just looks like some uniform for the game. It's not until the like, final event where they give them a helmet, because they're dangling in some like steel dome above the whole course, and now it's like all arm strength. They got to crawl around while like their American Gladiator parkour counterpart catches them in 20
Pick
seconds.
them off. Like seriously, it's like watching people get. It's like watching dipshits get hunted.
So here's the thing. If this were not a game show, if this were a American Gladiator style, I know I keep saying American Gladiators, but that's really what you shouldn't have a show
and it's
where
what their costumes look like.
you shouldn't have a show where I'm thinking I wish I was watching American Gladiators. That is not a good sign. But
Yeah.
if this was a sports show where where it was 2 tag teams and it was the guys who were brought in, like it was the Geek versus Blaze versus whatever, and it was guys versus girls or whatever else, and they mixed and matched the combination. It was basically them playing tag. That might have been better. But the game show element of it really ruins it. Like it doesn't bring anything to it, and we're like,
No.
yeah,
Cringy.
I realized immediately when I clicked on. I mean, like within 20 seconds of clicking on that YouTube link, that oh my god, I actually would watch people who were very, very good at tag, and I didn't think that was and I thought that's what Ultimate Tag would sell me on.
it is not
but it
Ultimate
did not.
Tag. It's not even penultimate tag.
So
And you feel bad
Okay.
for the people like the contestants, because they try to play into the storylines too. Like when they get tagged out, they're like exhausted, yet they got some guy behind them who's like showboating, who's like making faces at them like a wrestler or something. And then J.J. Watt's coming up to him. It's like, I saw you gave Blaze over there the stink eye. You know, we got a little beef going. And the person's just like, I can't even catch my breath. I just got through running around for like 20 minutes.
I would have paid to see somebody throw up on a Watt brother.
How did somebody not throw up? There's literally one course where you have to run from the start to the end, which I guess is 100 feet. All right, maybe less than a football field. I don't know length. But anyways, you have to run to the end of the course while you're chased by the tag people. And when you get to the end of the course, there's a button. But right before that button, there's a trampoline on like a platform that's like, 2 levels up. Okay. So I saw one guy who did it, like one of the contestants who did it successfully. But what you're supposed to do is run up to this platform and then jump off this trampoline into the air to get to the button before somebody can actually tag you. But all the people who tried to do it, there was one woman who she got tagged before she hit the trampoline. She still did it just to see if she could nail it. Like she'd already climbed up there because you can't just climb up. You have to like run over obstacles while being chased and like hop onto some platform and then bounce off that platform to hit a button. Like, gosh, these are people off the street they're bringing in to do this.
Yeah, it turns out like watching basketball would be not that interesting if you put like me on the pro team.
I did think it was funny. There was one woman who was like, yeah, I think I'm ready for this. I play basketball back at home, and that's like, you got to be quick and stuff and that. And I was like, oh, you don't hit yourself with one of those bars. Like,
you don't. These guys are professional jazz runners. They're going to fuck you up.
So let's imagine that like you took the writers from this show, the writers from Floor is Lava, all right, and you just gave them acid. All right. Started writing them Adult Swim checks. All right. And then you made a game show maybe around something like miniature golf. You would have Holey Moley Season 2. By the way, where did Season 1 go? Like, when I heard about
Hulu
this...
just dropped it. I think there really is a Season 1. I don't think it's a meta thing, but...
Yeah. Because I was like, how have I not heard of this show?
Because I remember Hulu advertising it at one point. I think they just dropped Season 1. I have a theory on how this show happened, though. I think someone saw Dodgeball with the Ocho and all of that, and thought we can do one about mini golf with Rob Riggle. And they got maybe $100,000, maybe $200,000 sunk into it, and then the financing fell through. And they were like, what can we do with like the 5 sets we've built and Rob Riggle, who we've got for another month?
Yeah.
And Holey Moley happened.
Yeah, this feels like a Adam McKay movie that just went off the rails. I was watching
like
it.
Adam never told them that they stopped or that they didn't really do it. Like they got everything set up on an improv movie. Like normally they'd be waiting on the script, right? But it's like, I don't know, what do we do today? We've got all the cameras. I guess we just film. What's the plot? Play mini golf, I guess.
So this is you have mini golfers who they're all like some of them are professional golfers, some of them are like
ex-retired professional golfers. I think one girl is a retired.
They have
golfer.
some skill, and each course is like this crazy elaborate version of miniature golf courses. And usually there's some version of a water hazard you get knocked into, but first you have to make a putt. And then you have to avoid the obstacle to go finish on the green. So it's like, you make a
There's
putt.
some kind of fucked up bridge you got to run or some shit to get over to the green.
And then you've got to run over a spinning log or fall in the water. If you fall in the water, it's a stroke. Like
it's a stroke penalty, and you're soaking wet. Yeah,
this sounds like the weirdest idea, and it kept getting crazier because I saw that and I'm like, okay, that's crazy enough. And Rob Riggle is playing himself as he's got an ABC, like the ABC yellow blazer. And they're making he's there making inappropriate comments with the other guy who I don't know who the other guy is.
I don't know, but basically the other guy is the deadpan actual golf announcer.
Yep. And they're having way too much fun announcing this thing.
Oh,
and
it's perfect.
I'm watching it, and it's like, this is weird. I can't believe I'm watching this. Isn't real. And then John Lovett shows up as a golf pirate.
Yes. The episode that we both watched, at least, I think the most recent episode on Hulu, has Long John Lovett's on the putt the plank.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Also, there's an animated Steph Curry who shows up from time to time to give some kind of update on the golden putter and the jacket that they can win.
Of course.
I swear to God, I was watching this thinking I was on acid.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but so are you familiar with the green jacket that golfers win when they win the Masters, which is like the highest golf thing you can win?
No, but that tracks.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So,
Look, I just Googled that. Yes.
Yes. So that's kind of the playoff with the jackets that they're doing. That's kind of like in golf, that is the trophy, is you want to get one of those like colored jackets with the little Masters logo on there. Mm-hmm. But what's funny is I feel like miniature golf and tag are both two things that I would never really care, or a game of Floor is Lava. Right. Like, they're things that I would never really care about. But the thing that make or breaks these shows, the announcers.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
When you get Wriggle in here, like, it works. Like,
yes.
You could have this be way less entertaining. You could have them not jumping over, like, spinning logs over, like, giant pools in order to get to the green, and Rob Riggle's commentary would be just as funny.
For all of its other inherent flaws in the structure of its quote-unquote game, Ultimate Tag would be 1,000% better if Rob Riggle were yelling at all of those people.
It's true. It's true. Also,
even if it was him and JJ Watt co-hosting.
Holey Moley goes way over the top. Like, I thought Floor is Lava was pretty extreme, but then I saw Holey Moley. They had to golf in the middle of a bunch of flamethrowers while in heat suits.
It is the closest thing to a Japanese game show that I want to say I've seen.
Yes, that is the first thing I thought with Holey Moley. Was like, we have gone full, like, Shaun of the Dead zombie game show end of the movie. Like...
Which, I mean, Hole in the Wall was pretty fun, but Holey Moley is just great.
Yeah.
No, and especially, like, if you think about what I said at the beginning, where summertime, a lot of these game shows hit network, and this is the stuff that's, like, playing at your grandma's house or, like, at your aunt's when you're going over for, like, 4th of July barbecue, which nobody's doing right now, hopefully. But, like... I think it's kind of cool that there's some weirder fringe stuff that, like, my grandma's probably going to watch this show, catch an episode or two. Like, it's kind of neat.
My dad has, like, my mom and stepdad have real cable, like regular cable. And so I'm sure they see all of this kind of shit. Like, this is, you're watching TV on TV schedule. These things are just on.
If I happened to cross this, and I feel like I kind of did because Kyle tricked me into it. If I just happened on this, I would definitely think someone slipped something into my water.
Well, speaking of, like, shows that fall in that category, did somebody slip something into my water? I don't think it was on the list, but we talked recently about Don't.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which, is that another ABC?
It is.
That was another just weird half meta, what the fuck are y'all on?
Yeah.
Was anyone paying attention when you made this game show?
So, yeah, we talked about this one a couple weeks ago, and this was kind of like our preview into game shows.
Yeah.
But I went and caught up on a few more episodes. I know, Randy, you were talking about watching a few more.
There's only 3, so I watched the other 2.
Oh, okay. But yeah, like, outside of what we said earlier, in terms of, like, how this compares to these other shows, I think our original consensus was that the dual host aspect, having Ryan Reynolds as, like, this omniscient narrator for the whole thing, we definitely feel like that's probably an afterthought. Like, they got in.
I thought that, but having watched 2 and 3, he and Adam interact a little bit.
Well, let's say that it was an afterthought for the pilot.
Yeah, I think it might have been. But my thought was that they had this all filmed, and then they had, like, COVID times, and like, Ryan Reynolds free, let's have him do some voiceover on it. But no, he was clearly in the mix when they were shooting this. Yeah,
well, and then I've said this before, but, like, the Lego Masters, I was blown away to find out Brad Pitt produced that.
Yeah.
That just kind of blows my mind.
I have not watched the rest of Don't, but I'm wondering when you say they interact, does he specifically reference Ryan Reynolds?
No, but he talks to, like, he'll say something to Adam, and Adam will say something back, basically.
Because I'm wondering if maybe they just had, like, a narrator, but not the person for it yet.
It's possible. That's possible.
You think they're doing the Snyder cut on Don't?
Yes.
Like, he's got millions of dollars to fix this thing up. But no, kind of the simple premise of this is well, gosh, I don't even know if there is a premise because the games change so I think it was different games every show that I watched. Essentially, it's just like over the top, large physical type obstacles. And then there's a big trivia aspect, and each obstacle kind of has this whole theme of like, don't do this or don't.
It was shoehorning the theme in was the thing that worked for me least, honestly. Like they could have called it Big Stupid Foam Game.
Yeah, the theme is weak.
Cramming and they really twist themselves into some contortions to try to like, the world is defined by things you don't do.
Yeah.
Is it though?
You know what I think this would be without the Ryan Reynolds voiceover? What was that Fred Savage show they did? That was
with the Flair Nomenon?
Yeah.
Oh God.
It made fun of like Talking Dead and like all of the chat shows.
It made fun of a fictional chat show called The Flair. I mean, a fictional sci-fi show. Yep. But yes.
But no, it was like this thing where it seemed like everybody's into this except the people watching it. Like everybody's trying to like get you hyped up, like, and now this next comedian who you've never heard of, everybody get crazy. Everybody's like, no, man, we haven't heard of this guy. But I do think the voiceover and Ryan Reynolds adding his little touch definitely helps the show quite a bit. Because the way they do these is they film them in huge chunks. So recently, they did. Sean Evans did the Hot Ones game show. I think they did something like 2 seasons of it, or like it seemed like a crazy amount of time. Like in 1 week, they had just gotten tons of people in there to film like essentially their whole like whatever they had ordered for this show, and then they tear the set down and then they're done. So I imagine like with Don't, they've filmed a lot of this.
So this is a good segue, Kyle, because this takes me to Press Your Luck, which we're going to talk about next. And I'm realizing they've got these big, like Ryan Reynolds and Adam Scott have very successful careers, and yet they've got them fucking around on this game show. And then you get to Press Your Luck, which is a dead-on ripoff of like the 70s. It's like this.
They straight remade it. The set turns the same fucking way.
It's the same set. Like, it's the same show.
The drawing of
big
the whammy
cash,
looks
no
the same.
whammies.
But for
they didn't
some
even
reason,
update the animation of it.
For some reason, Elizabeth Banks is the host, and she is.
Yes.
Elizabeth Banks is a super producer at this point.
I assume she's producing this thing, right?
I mean, she directed Charlie's Angels. Like, she has movie roles. Like, she directed Pitch Perfect 3, I think. She's like, this is not a person who should be doing a game show. But I figure it's like it's in their contract somewhere, or they come in and it's like, hey, you want to spend an afternoon filming a season worth of game shows, and we'll pay you as if it was a movie? That's got to be how they're doing this, right?
I was watching some documentary about actor in the 70s, and it amazed me that like in the 60s, 70s there were all these TV shows and stupid, goofy, let's jump out of an airplane, let's do this dumb, like what can we get celebs to do, like Celebrity Circus bullshit, like, it almost feels like more of a, the studio owning their stars kind of days. But I'm wondering is there a revival of that kind of shit? Because there's like
what was that
Celebrity
VH1
Game Night
show where they brought all the celebrity. It was like Flava Flav kind of had his revival in it. It was like Flava Flav, Bridget Nielsen, but essentially they made it was like Real World but with celebrities, kind of pre-Apprentice.
Yes, was that the one Gary Coleman was on?
Oh, maybe. Gosh,
but yeah, I know.
Horrible segue, but it's that same kind of thing. Like, dance for us, like famous people. So, come in here.
Press Your Luck. I watched one of the old ones and one of the new ones back to back because Amazon's got the entirety of the old. If you want to watch, if they've got a million old game shows, if you want to watch game shows from the 50s and 60s, it's crazy. But so it was weird to watch like half of an original episode of Press Your Luck from like 70, and then like the first half of one of the new ones with Elizabeth Banks, and like the set's the same. I mean, they really did. They made the same show, which I was like, oh, cool. There's a lot of 70s cool charm there. And then it's all about Elizabeth Banks, which I have a crush on Elizabeth Banks, so this is fine. But she's not that fun. I mean, like, they're still just game show host quips. I mean, it's not like this is the greatest stand-up routine I've ever seen. And the trivia questions are so low level.
Oh God, they're bad. They're so bad.
Then I'm just watching these people. I'm like, I'm just waiting for y'all to spin, which is just randomness. Like this feels like a trivia game with all of the toughness taken out of it. Like whatever was difficult about this, you set this difficulty level to fucking easy.
You know, I think, yeah, they put all of their chips on, people have heard of this game show before, there's a bunch of catchphrases from it, and we're going to make this set over the top and fantastic, and we're going to invest in having like this big movie star actress come in and be our host, but they didn't really invest in writing the jokes.
Right,
or
no.
looking at the format, which I think, at the end of the day, it's the format. Like, if the jokes were bad and all that, if people were still invested in like what's going to happen with the game, they'd watch. But everything's random in this. It's like, like Deal or No Deal is more interesting in a format in terms of like, will they press their luck again than this is, where they literally just press a button. Like in Deal or No Deal, there's a girl holding a briefcase, and there's a guy on the phone like, are you going to do it? You going to take this deal? Deal or no deal? like we've kind of evolved from here, but this is a nostalgia play. Big time.
Yeah.
They're entirely thinking you're going to watch it to see the whammy, but it's just not working.
Big bucks. And when people don't say big bucks, no whammy, it kind of pisses me off on this show. I'm
what are you doing there? Why are we even here?
You're jinxing yourself.
Bit.
Yeah. Big bucks, no whammy. That's all you got to say. Big bucks, no whammy.
I mostly felt like I actually liked the one I saw where Elizabeth Banks was like interacting with the woman who wanted to get the minivan for her mom. Like, it was very sweet, and I liked it, but at the same time I didn't give a shit. Like this, It's like, this is good, but it also seems manufactured, and I don't really care about any of this, and I feel like you're working too hard at this.
I'm more invested in episodes of Cash Cab, and that person's just on a cab ride. That's like 20 minutes.
I have watched a shitload of Cash Cab. By contrast, I have watched very little Press Your Luck.
It's good trivia. You're invested in the game. Like, yeah, that person's not trying to like pay for his mom's like dialysis or whatever, but you're still like, oh, I didn't want to pay for a cab ride today. This is great.
I feel like we're maybe one or two dystopian levels away from game shows to pay for insulin. Like, we're in 2020.
We're there.
2020 is already at that point. Like, I feel like if Trump gets reelected, we're going to be looking at full-on Total Recall style, or not Total Recall, Running Man style, play for your life games.
I love confusing those movies.
I bring you Repo Games, a 2011 game show that ran 2 seasons on Spike.
Oh, shit.
Where real-life repo men, Josh Lewis and Tom DeTone, showed up at your house to take your car or whatever, and you answered trivia questions to keep your fucking car.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I heard about this.
The episode I remember watching, they knock on a family's house, and they pull an entire family who are all black except one girl, and the question they asked them was to name all 4 Beatles, and they lost their fucking car.
Oh my God, that's awful. Oh.
And that was a lot of people staring daggers at this one girlfriend who was like, I don't fucking know. Like, I mean, and with like we're just all in the yard trying to save like Tom's car.
Oh man, that is so fucked up.
I seriously, I was watching it going, well, then we can do my game idea, Bulldogs and Benjamins, and that's where I show up at your door with a dog on a chain and $100 bill, and I ask you a trivia question, and you either get the money or the dog. We could also call it Pit Bills. I'm good either way.
Pit Bills. Yeah. Well, if Press Your Luck is kind of a nostalgia play, I think the same can be said about this next show, but I feel like for several reasons, it definitely comes off way different than Press Your Luck. And that is, of course, To Tell the Truth, over on ABC, hosted by Anthony Anderson, co-hosted by his mama Doris. And the format of this show, it is a classic TV show, then also revived, much like Press Your Luck. But the format is 4 celebrity panelists are brought on every episode. And they're brought on to tell if 3 people are either telling the truth or lying about who they are. 3 people from off the street are brought in, and one of them has been sworn to tell the truth. and we're given kind of a description. You know, this person is what is it? Scarlett Johansson's stunt double in the Avengers movies, or this person was an original Playboy bunny. Like they come up with
19-time world flair bartending champion or some bullshit.
I think the last one I saw was the world record-setting archer, but it was a guy who had no arms, a woman who had one arm, and then a woman who was blind. And the celebrities had to guess which one of these people was an award-winning archer. And yeah, so the celebrities go through asking each of these people questions, trying to figure out which of them is telling the truth. And then at the end of it, the person who is telling the truth usually gets to show off their skill. So like a fun one from this season was the guy who set the world record for walking on Legos the longest. He was inspired by just stepping on Legos in his kid's room and was like, I'll do this for charity. I'll run like 20 miles barefoot on Legos. Yeah, so then we find out who it is, and sure enough, they got a track of Legos on the stage where he demonstrates walking on Legos.
Oh my God!
Like I'm sure we know how it's done.
They had the Flair bartender demonstrate a bunch of stuff and make a drink for Anthony Anderson's mom.
Oh yeah.
So in terms of stuff that makes this work, because to tell the truth, worked for me. Randy, you didn't get to watch this one, right?
I watched it. I think we watched this last time.
You watched it last year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this one, I mean, again, I'm not 100% on game shows. I don't hate them, but I don't seek them out. But to tell the truth, was fun for me because I like kind of balderdash type games anyway on board game style. I like bullshitters. Like that's a fun premise of a game to me. And the celebs were fun. Whatever episode I watched was like Snoop and Justin Long. And that's great. And there
was one
Anthony
time
Anderson's mom fucking makes it. Like she shut down Justin Long where he was explaining his answer too long, and she was like, "Flip the card over."
Well, and
that was before they made her a drink.
he even said, like, when they were setting up the show and kind of developing it, they were like, you know, maybe you need to have like a co-host or something. He was like, why don't you just have my mom come on? Like,
it's great. Like
it's such an organic idea.
Yes, it is the weird quirkiness that just like, oh, and hey, my mom is here.
Yeah, right. That is weird. And I remember that too. I was like, that's weird, and I kind of love it.
Well, and they've kind of evolved their format a little bit. Towards the end of their first 3 or 4 episodes this season, they introduce the Doris Award. So the way that they score the show for the celebrities who participate is they usually just crown a loser. Like the person who's in last is given a dunce cap or is made to look ridiculous in some way. But what they've done is they've actually created this like small bust statue of Mama Doris, where it's literally just like her breasts and her head. And on the episode I watched, Anthony Anderson is like parading this thing around like, one of you is going to win the night, is going to win an opportunity to spend a night with my mama. She's going to go home with you later. Yeah, it was pretty funny. I definitely love the like how he is able to not only interact with like the different contestants on there, but like the celebrities they get to come on here are really good. Like working not only with each other, but like with like just kind of the randos that come on. They have a lot of personality, and you know, we were talking about something earlier. Oh yeah, like the shows where it seems like they're just parading their celebrities they have on contract out to like do something for them. This is the complete opposite of that. This is like a natural thing where it seems like the celebrity, maybe they got paid to be there and they're sitting down, but the second you start playing this game, it's fun. Like you want to play along with them. You're trying to figure out who's bullshitting. Like this has a really interesting game mechanic that's not just like pressing a button or having to do parkour or something.
Yeah.
It feels a little bit more like watching the Zappa brothers show up on Conan back in the day. Of like, I don't think y'all are guests. I just think you're here.
This is your show now.
Like you just know Conan and you were behind the couch.
Mm-hmm. No, one of the things on this show, though, that you can't really, if you're going to discuss it in depth, you have to mention the puns. Because at the beginning of each segment, Anthony Anderson delivers a scripted monologue, and it usually ends in, like, the most, like, record scratch dad pun ever. These things, they bring, like, everybody to a screeching halt. But I love them. I love a good pun. I know that's not in vogue. That's not the thing to be into. But he nails a pun on each of these. And if it doesn't make you laugh, it makes you roll your eyes, which is just as good, if you ask me. But no, this is, I think, out of everything we've talked about tonight. Granted, if you want to watch people run around or jump over molten lava, like, that's a different kind of thing. But in terms of just, like, game show mechanics and talking hosting ability, like, everything we've been talking about throughout the evening, like, I feel like, to tell the truth, it's got all those things. Like, it just, the planets align for, like, the perfect moment. It just happens all with that. No, and I also have to say, thank you guys for watching game shows with me. Gosh. It lets me know that you're actually listening. You know, we every week we start these shows and I'm like, hey, you guys watching this? And the answer is most of the time, hell no. What are you talking about? I've never even heard of it. A putt-putt show? Like, what are you talking about? But every now and then you give a dog a bone and you watch a little something for me. So thank you very much. This is great.
You're welcome,
And look
Kyle.
for pit bills coming 2021.
Benjamin's rolls.
And thank you to our listeners and to our patrons. And thank you, Les. Thank you, Kyle, as always.
Thanks, Randy.
You, Randy.
And
Thanks, Kyle.
And thank you, Kyle, our Quizmaster Kyle, for running the show. And until next week,
TV Dudes out.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
to find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.